Hey everyone, welcome back to Tan's Top 10 channel. So a couple of videos ago, I talked about revising my top 10 favorite movies of all time list, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Except we are counting down my top 100 favorite movies of all time. This is without a doubt the hardest list I've ever had to make on this channel. This took me a long time to come up with, but I think I'm pretty happy with what the list is. So yeah, this is going to be a long video. Now, since this was such a hard list to come up with, most of these movies are not in a specific order. I just pretty much came up with 100 movies that mean a lot to me, I love, threw them into my list. Towards the top, like my top 20-ish, those are the movies that I adore, mean so much to me. Favorite movies of all time. The rest of the list, kind of just all over the place. All these movies, so fucking good. Oh my god. Now, since this is going to be such a big video, I'm not going to go too in depth on every single movie. This video would be about 4 hours long if I did that. So maybe I'll just say a few quick things about each movie, move on to the next. And since this is going to be such a massive video, I am wearing my Batman hat. Plus, it is fucking cold here in Wisconsin. Fuck you, Wisconsin weather. Anyways, on to the list. Kicking off the list at number 100, we got Back to the Future, one of the most rewatchable movies of all time. I really enjoy the second one. I have yet to finish the third one, but the whole trilogy I heard is pretty good. Number 99, Carlito's Way, one of my favorite gangster movies, and an awesome performance by Al Pacino. 98, Con Air, Put the Bunny Back in the Box. One of the best 90s action movies, cheesy as hell. Number 97, we got Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. Two of the most beautiful looking movies of all time. Love both of them. Number 96, 10 Things I Hate About You. Probably my favorite high school comedy. Love it. Heath Ledger, so fucking good in that movie. 95, Kill Bill, Volume 1 and 2. You're going to see a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies on this list. His movies are so damn rewatchable, and I freaking love both of these movies. This one is more of a straight up like samurai movie, and Volume 2 is a lot more like a spaghetti western. I got to rewatch. The last time I rewatched them, I think I liked number 2 more, but I am in need of a rewatch on those. 94, we got Fast 5. I pretty much love the entire Fast and Furious collection, or movies, except for Fast 9 and Hobbs and Shaw. Wasn't really a big fan of those. But Fast 5 especially, just one of the best action movies, one of my favorites. In at 93, we got The Wedding Singer, my favorite Adam Sandler movie. Such a funny movie with a lot of heart as well. 92, True Romance. I've only seen this movie once, but I fucking love it. So entertaining. This has a stacked cast. Brad Pitt, so fucking good in this movie. Same with Gary Oldman. This was written by Quentin Tarantino, but directed by Tony Scott. I love this movie. 91, we got Tombstone. One of my favorite performances of all time with Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. So fucking cool. Just an awesome rewatchable movie. 90, we got Ransom. I just rewatched this last week. I fucking love this movie. This is an awesome 90s thriller. Pretty messed up movie, pretty disturbing. But I saw this movie when I was like 6 years old. My dad let me watch it. I was terrified. This movie is about a kid getting kidnapped, so it's pretty disturbing if you're a young kid watching it. But an awesome Mel Gibson performance. Awesome performances all around. Awesome direction and really good script as well. In at number 89 is Nightcrawler. It's fucking criminal that Jake Gyllenhaal didn't win. Didn't even get nominated for his performance in this movie. It is one of the best performances of the 2010s. Holy shit, is he good in this movie. But it's also an awesome crime thriller. Check it out. Number 88, Ocean's 11. Just a fun, cool-ass heist movie. Awesome stacked cast. 87, we got The Raid 1 and 2. Some of the best action movies of all time. Seriously, check these out if you have not. They are incredible. The stunt work, just mind-blowing. Number 86, The Replacements, one of my favorite sports movies of all time. Not a great movie, but just such a heartwarming, like fun, easygoing movie. Not a whole lot of drama. Plus, you got Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman. Awesome. Hell yeah. Number 85, Serenity, an awesome continuation slash finality to the Firefly TV show. Wish we would have gotten more, but this movie concluded the story really awesome. 84, Seven, one of the best crime thriller slash fucked up movies of all time. Just awesome chemistry between Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and a seriously twisted twist at the end. 83, Shawshank Redemption. It's got to be on the list. I think might be a little overrated. Some people, it's number one on IMDb's best movies of all time list. I think it's not that great, but still just an amazing movie, a classic. Got to have it on the list. 82, The Social Network. Probably can't tell with this cover, but Social Network, fucking masterpiece. One of the best movies of the past 20 years. In at number 81, we got Spider-Man 1 and 2, the Sam Raimi movies. Just talked about these in my last video, so I'm not going to go too in-depth with them. But still nostalgic, still hold up. Love them. Number 80, we got two of my favorite comedies of all time, 21 and 22 Jump Street. Adore both of these. I think if they were make a 23 Jump Street, please bring back Phil Lord and Chris Miller to write these movies. They did such a great job, and directing. Yeah, they directed them as well. So fucking funny. Number 79, Crimson Tide, an awesome, intense thriller from the 90s with Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington going face to face. Just a badass movie, super intense. 78, Boys in the Hood, a phenomenal performance by Lawrence Fishburne. It is a crime he was not nominated for this movie, but also just one of the best coming of age movies. Really enjoyable movie with a lot of heart and pretty tragic as well, but please check it out if you have not. I got to upgrade to 4K for that one because that is a great movie. 77, one of my favorite comedies of all time, Wedding Crashers. A lot of people would say, oh, this doesn't hold up. Fuck you, this movie is just so fucking funny. It's got a lot of heart as well. I just love Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn together. So goddamn funny. You motorboating son of a bitch, you. 76, Collateral. Fuck yes, Collateral is awesome. You got an awesome performance by Tom Cruise. Probably my favorite performance by him, I think. And Jamie Foxx is pretty good in that movie. I'm not the world's biggest Jamie Foxx fan, but I think that's one of his better movies. He got nominated for an Oscar for that movie. That's 75, Total Recall. Hell yes, this movie kicks ass, holds up. A lot of people would watch it and be like, oh, that looks dated. I just love all the special effects in this movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger, so charismatic in that movie. I think it's one of his best performances, actually. Coming in at number 74, Inglourious Basterds. Sound good? Fuck yes. This movie is awesome. One of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. I think this is one of his best scripts. The writing in this movie is insane. Awesome performances by Christoph Waltz and Brad Pitt. Now I want my scalps. 73, Gone Baby Gone. This is Ben Affleck's directorial debut. Knocked it out of the park with this movie. So good. This is a kidnapping crime drama. Really intense, but awesome performances, and it's set in Boston. I love movies set in Boston. Number 72, Gladiator. I know this is a two-pack. Braveheart is not on the list. I love Braveheart, but it's not on the list. Gladiator, it's on the list. At number 72, Best Picture winner, Russell Crowe, kicks ass. Ridley Scott, just one of the best. Number 71, Gangs of New York. This was the first Martin Scorsese movie I've ever saw. I watched it when I was really young, less than 10 years old. Way too young to see this movie. This movie's pretty fucking violent, but an awesome performance by Daniel Day-Lewis. Pretty crazy he didn't win an Oscar for this. I mean, he wins an Oscar pretty much every role he does, or is at least nominated. But I love Gangs of New York. I think it's probably one of Scorsese's most underrated movies. In at number 70 is A History of Violence. This is one of the most overlooked movies from the 2000s. This is David Cronenberg directed this. I think this is based off a graphic novel, I believe, with a fucking stacked cast. Viggo Mortensen, Maria Bello, awesome chemistry there. You got Ed Harris and William Hurt, both menacing gangsters. A really tight thriller with awesome writing, awesome direction, and some brutal violence in that movie. In at number 69, we got Terminator 1 and 2. Fuck yes. They got to fucking release a Terminator 1 on 4K. Goddamn you, James Cameron. But two of the best sci-fi action movies of all time. Terminator 1's a little more of a horror movie. T2, straight up action, sci-fi. Both just some of the best. Number 68, Menace to Society. I just checked this out for the first time, I think that was last year, and I was just blown away by this movie. It's one of the best directed movies from the 90s. I think this was their directorial debut. It was, I think, their brothers that made this movie. Such an amazing movie, really brutal, but realistic depiction of a black teenager growing up in the 90s in LA. Number 67, Starship Troopers. Fuck yes, I love this movie. This is, a lot of people would watch this and be like, that movie's kind of weird. Why is it like that? This is pretty much a satire on the U.S. military, brutal violence, but also got a lot of funny like jokes and stuff. Some of the violence is just so over the top that it's pretty funny. This movie is a satire, so it's not meant to be taken 100% seriously. I mean, just look at Neil Patrick Harris in that movie. 66, we got Quiet Place 1 and 2. I prefer the first one, but I did enjoy the second one. Seeing that one in theaters, that was awesome. But two of the most emotional and tense horror movies to come out in a long time. Love them. 65, A Knight's Tale. I fucking love this movie. It's one of the most rewatchable movies for me. I watched this so many times as a kid. I think my uncle or cousin, someone had it on VHS when I was younger, so I watched it all the time. Awesome Heath Ledger performance and pretty kick-ass soundtrack as well. 64, Great Mouse Detective, one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. Pretty underrated. I watched this all the time when I was younger, rented it from the library. And one of the most underrated and best Disney villains in Ratigan. That guy is fucking scary. 63, Boogie Nights. One of the best scripts from the 90s. I adore this movie. Such a stacked fucking cast in this movie as well. Thank you, P.T. Anderson. This movie is so damn rewatchable. Would be compared to Goodfellas, but I think it does enough differently. And it's not about gangsters. It's about the porn industry. That might turn people off. Please watch this movie if you have not. It's got a lot of humor in it. Some dark turns. But it's got a lot of sentimentality as well. A lot of heart to it. Number 62, you got Alien and Aliens. Alien, one of the best horror movies of all time. Aliens, one of the best action movies of all time. Not a whole lot to say on that. They're just some of the best movies ever. Number 61, Jurassic Park. I am only including Jurassic Park because for a franchise so big as the Jurassic Park movies, only the first one is great. Some of them are good, enjoyable. Some of them are terrible. But the first Jurassic Park is the only like great movie in that franchise. Number 60, The Patriot. I believe this is the first R-rated movie that I ever saw. I love this movie. Seen it so many times. Pretty fucking brutal for a war movie. Dude gets a cannonball like that rips off his head. Holy shit, that startled me when I was 5 years old or whatever I was when I saw this. Awesome lead performance by Mel Gibson. Heath Ledger as his son is pretty awesome as well. Spoilers, his death in this movie is one of the most shocking deaths in a movie for me. Broke my heart when I was younger. Still breaks my heart. I don't like when he dies in this movie. I kind of want to just skip that part. But also, one of the most despicable and evil pieces of shit villains in movie history is in this with Jason Isaacs. He is an underrated villain in this movie, but he's so good. In at 59, one of my favorite coming-of-age movies, Stand By Me. I adore this movie. River Phoenix, holy shit. He's so good in this movie. For how young he is, you could just see the potential he had as an actor. He would have been winning fucking Oscars. Would have been such an amazing actor. It's so sad that we lost him at such a young age, but just a great, great movie. Well written, Rob Reiner. 58, District 9, one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. I've said it in multiple videos. Neil Blomkamp was supposed to make a Halo movie. If he would have made it the way he made District 9, I would have loved it. And fuck you, Hollywood, for canceling that movie. 57, Jungle Book, one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. I just watched this while I was recovering from salmonella poisoning. I adore it. It's such a rewatchable movie for me, except Shere Khan still terrifies me. And the music, the jazz score for that movie and the soundtrack, it just, it creeps me out. I don't know what it is. The jazz soundtrack for that movie, if you were playing that in a dark room with me in it, fucking terrified. I'm sorry. Number 56, Moana. Probably my favorite, most recent Disney movie. I think I said that sentence correctly. Anyways, Moana, my wife and I love that movie. Also, one of the best Disney soundtracks as well. 55, The Fly. One of the best horror movies ever made. One of the best horror remakes. Love it. Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis have awesome chemistry. And the gore effects and the makeup and all that. Love it. So fucking good. David Cronenberg. Hell yeah. Number 54, we got The Wrestler. One of my favorite performances ever in a movie. Mickey Rourke. It is a shame he did not win the Oscar for this movie. He had the Oscar. Like, seriously. Everyone thought that he was going to win the Oscar, and then fucking Sean Penn had to come in for Milk and win the Oscar. Fuck you, Sean Penn. Actually, I got no ill will towards Sean Penn. Just Mickey Rourke. One of the best performances of all time in that movie. Should have won it. Anyways. Number 53, Black Hawk Down. One of the best war movies ever made. One of the most underrated war movies ever made. Ridley Scott fucking directed the hell out of this movie. This movie looks beautiful. It's got some of the most intense and holy shit mind-blowing like war scenes ever filmed. I seriously cannot believe how he directed that movie. And a stacked fucking cast. Tom Hardy, hell yeah, he's in that movie. That's why it's on this list. Number 52, another super underrated movie. The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. Love this movie. One of the best looking westerns of all time. Brad Pitt, so menacing, but like so mysterious in this movie as Jesse James, and what's his name? Casey Affleck as Robert Ford. One of his best performances as well. 2007. What a fucking year for movies. Holy shit. Number 51, Army of Darkness. My favorite Evil Dead movie. I love it. I think this blends comedy and horror the best. I watched Evil Dead 2. I thought it was fine, but it was almost too similar to The Evil Dead, and the remake Evil Dead I really enjoyed as well. But this is my favorite. Bruce Campbell, so much fun, and I think all the effects, all the practical effects, and the skeletons, fucking skeletons in the movie. Hell yeah, guys. We are halfway done with this video, and I feel like I've been filming forever. Holy shit. Let's keep moving. Number 50, Anchorman. Fuck yes. One of my favorite comedies of all time. Love this movie. So damn rewatchable. I haven't seen it in a while, so got to rewatch it very soon. Number 49, There Will Be Blood. Another movie from 2007. Such a beautifully directed movie. One of the best looking movies from the 2000s. Daniel Day-Lewis. What a performance. Holy shit. This movie is incredible. It is a really long movie, but goddamn does it fly by. Super intense, but such a beautiful film. Number 48, we got Inside Out, my favorite Pixar movie. Love it. Cry every time. And hopefully we get a sequel to that because I love that movie. 47, Into the Spider-Verse. One of the best animated movies ever made. And we are getting the sequel later this year if they don't delay it. Please stop delaying movies. Fucking Mission Impossible 7. God damn it, now I gotta wait another year. 46. Another one of my favorite animated movies of all time. The Lego Movie. I fucking laughed my ass off watching this movie. Actually, same guys who wrote this movie. Just put that together. Anyways, Lego Movie, so damn funny, but a lot of heart as well. And Morgan Freeman as the wizard dude. Makes me laugh every time. And Lego Batman. Fucking tears up from laughing so hard. Number 45, Basic Instinct. I guess I should have had this at number 69. I don't really have to say why this movie is on this list. It's Basic Instinct. It's on the list. Number 44, one of my favorite superhero trilogies of all time, the Captain America movies. I love these movies. They are some of my favorite MCU movies, and I think they just flesh out the character of Steve Rogers, Captain America, so damn well. Yeah, I adore those movies. They're so good. Number 43, Wolf of Wall Street. Fucking Leonardo DiCaprio should have won an Oscar for this movie. I'm sorry, The Revenant. This is Leo's best performance in a 3 hour long movie directed by a 70-year-old guy that feels like it was directed by a 20 or 30-year-old dude. Seriously, Martin Scorsese, fucking master at work here. That is a 3 hour movie where not a second is wasted. One of the best scripts, too. And one of the funniest movies ever made. Holy shit, that movie is hilarious. Number 42, The Conjuring. Possibly the scariest movie experience I ever had. I was fucking terrified of this movie. Holy shit. Slept with the lights on. I think I watched like Ted 1 or Ted 2 right after I saw this because I had to I just had to be in a better mood. I was so terrified. So thank you, Ted 1 or 2, whichever one, for making me in a better mood. And fuck you, Bathsheba, for scaring the fuck out of me. Number 41, my favorite war movie of all time, Saving Private Ryan. Such an incredible movie. Steven Spielberg, I seriously don't get, I don't understand how he made that movie. It is mind blowing how he made that. Number 40, one of my favorite romantic dramedies. It's not really a comedy, not really a drama. It's dramedy. 500 Days of Summer. So heartwarming. I love this movie. I loved it since the first time I saw it. Please check it out if you have not. Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel have a lot of great chemistry together. Number 39, Welcome to the Rock. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. I adore The Rock. One of the most rewatchable action movies ever made. Another movie with a stacked cast. Holy shit. Michael Bay never made a better movie. Speaking of awesome action movies, number 38, we got the Mission. Well, this is the Mission Impossible collection, but specifically I am including Mission Impossible Fallout. One of my favorite action movies of all time. I've talked about it in multiple videos. That movie is fucking art. And like I just said a couple minutes ago, fuck you, COVID, for pushing back Mission Impossible 7. I just want to see the movie. I just want to see it. Stop pushing movies back. Coming in at number 37, Whiplash. One of the most intense movies with no action in it at all. It is between a teacher and a student and their back and forth and their fight and butting heads. This movie is so intense but so gripping, and thank God J.K. Simmons won an Oscar for this role because he is so phenomenal in this movie. So is Miles Teller. I love this movie. It's really rewatchable too. Coming in at number 36 is the best theater experience I've ever had. Avengers Endgame. This will never be topped, I don't think, for my favorite theater experience ever. No Way Home was a good theater experience. A lot of people were cheering and clapping, but I had salmonella while I saw that movie, so I was not in the best condition to see it. But Endgame, I had such a blast with this movie. I saw it 3 times in theaters. The only movie I've ever seen that many times in theaters. Still holds up. And I feel like the MCU just, after Endgame, just hasn't really been that great. I don't know. I haven't watched any of the TV shows. I like No Way Home, but the rest of the movies have been fine. I don't know. I don't know if the MCU can come back from Endgame, hype and stuff. So, yeah. Number 35, Fargo. I adore this movie. This is such a funny movie, but such a dark movie. Pretty violent, but one of the best scripts, some of the best performances. Coen brothers knocked it out of the park. Number 34, one of the saddest movies I ever seen, and I cry every time I watch it. Titanic. I love Titanic. I don't get why people shit on this movie. Yeah, some of the romance is sappy, but you know what? They have awesome chemistry together. Plus, once you get into the second half of the movie, goddamn, when that ship starts sinking, that is some of the best filmmaking you'll ever see. And you actually care about the characters. And Billy Zane, what a son of a bitch in this movie. But I love him. Number 33, got Creed. This is a movie that should not be as good as it is. You hear that they're making a spin-off movie about Apollo Creed's son in the Rocky universe, and you're like, there's no way that's going to work. They're bringing Sylvester Stallone back. This unknown guy, Ryan Coogler, who only made one movie before that, he's directing it. This movie's not going to work. Holy shit, does this movie fucking work? Michael B. Jordan is so damn good in this movie. Sylvester Stallone, I think, is his best performance in this movie. And I got to rewatch Rocky, but Creed might be my favorite movie in the Rocky franchise. Might be the best. I got to see. Speaking of the best, number 32, we got Unforgiven, my favorite Western of all time. Clint Eastwood directed the hell out of this movie, and also fucking Gene Hackman. Fucking love him. He is so damn good in this movie, and he deserved that Oscar. Some of the most intense, badass scenes, but this is not a fucking shoot 'em up Western like, Tombstone and a lot of those ones. This is a very somber and pretty slow but character driven Western that is so damn good with an awesome payoff at the end. Some of the best performances ever. Love it. Another one of my favorite Westerns, movie takes place in the South, but it's qualified, I guess, as a Western. Django Unchained. This was my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie for the longest time, but I think I have a new favorite one that I'll be talking about later. But I adore this movie. Some of my favorite performances, I think Leo should have been nominated. He is such a despicable douchebag in this movie, but he is so good. Christoph Waltz, he did win the Oscar for this movie. He is so good. And Samuel L. Jackson gives one of his best performances in this film. Jamie Foxx, like I said earlier, not the biggest fan of him, but I do think this is another movie that he's really good in. In at number 30 is the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, guys, I thought long and hard about this because in my top 10 favorite video or movies video that I made, what is that, 2 years ago? I don't remember how long that was. These were my number one favorite movies of all time. I have rewatched them since. I noticed a lot more flaws in them in the rewatches, so they kind of dropped down. I do love these movies. They are some of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Heath Ledger as the Joker is still possibly my favorite performance ever. I just think these movies kind of got a little overrated, but they're on the list. They're at number 30. I fucking love these movies. They're just not in my top 10 anymore. I'm sorry. Number 29, The Departed. You fucking firefighters. Love this movie. Rewatched it a couple months ago. Still holds up. An awesome, snappy script. Love it. I'm so glad it won the Oscar. Martin Scorsese, not my favorite movie of his. I don't know if he should have won Best Picture / Director with this. There's other movies he should have won for, but I am glad he won. And you know what? Departed, fucking incredible movie. So he deserved it. Number 28 is one of the biggest surprises I've ever had with a movie experience. The Guest. I had no idea what this movie was before I watched it. My now wife and I were sitting on the couch years ago and we were just scrolling through Netflix and I saw this movie. I heard good things about it, but I had no idea what the movie was about really. And I'm like, you know what, let's watch it. It instantly became one of my favorite movies of all time. I love this movie. If you have not seen it, seriously, check this movie out. It is so good, so intense, so badass. Dan Stevens, so fucking cool in this movie. God damn, is he handsome. I'm jealous. Anyways, really, really awesome movie. Kind of like a throwback to like Halloween and Drive. Kind of combine those two movies, that's kind of what you get. All right, guys, now we're getting into the big hitters. Number 27, Silence of the Lambs. A perfect, flawless movie. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It is perfect in every way. Performances, direction, script, cinematography, awesome score. This movie is terrifying, but it is so fucking good and so rewatchable. Please watch Silence of the Lambs if you have not. Speaking of perfect movies, number 26, The Thing. One of my favorite horror movies ever. I love this movie. The atmosphere is so good. Kurt Russell, I don't think he's ever been better. I think this is his best performance. And it's kind of a shame that this movie kind of bombed when it first came out because I seriously don't know how you watch this movie and you're like, it's fine. Seriously, this movie is flawless. It's perfect. Number 25, one of the best directed movies I've ever seen. Possibly in the top 10. Zodiac by David Fincher. This movie is so fucking compelling, so enthralling, but so disturbing. Seriously, this movie is based on a true story. This has some of the scariest scenes I've ever seen in a film, ever. But goddamn, is this movie so gripping. Holy shit. You're waiting for the next line of dialogue to come out of a character's mouth because you are so invested in the story and the investigation. And spoilers, they don't catch the guy. They didn't catch him in real life. In this movie, you never find out. But goddamn, you still want to investigate. You're still with the characters. And awesome performances. You got Robert Downey Jr. before he became Iron Man. Holy shit, Zodiac, you are a flawless film. Number 23, Die Hard, my favorite action film ever. I rewatch this every year during Christmas. I cannot celebrate Christmas without watching Die Hard. I just love this movie. I can't say anything else about Die Hard. It is perfect. Number 22, Pulp Fiction. What a cool ass movie. Holy shit. I think this was the first Quentin Tarantino movie I ever saw. It was either this or Django Unchained. I was a little late to the party seeing Quentin Tarantino movies, but first time I saw this, I heard everything, glowing reviews about Pulp Fiction. It's one of the best movies ever made, and I went in with tempered expectations because people say one of the best movies ever made. You go in, you don't want to be disappointed. Holy shit, is this one of the best movies ever made? One of the best scripts. Fucking love it. So quotable. Pulp Fiction. One of the most rewatchable movies ever, too. And it is a fucking crime that Samuel L. Jackson did not win an Oscar for this movie. This is easily his best performance. It's one of the most iconic, original characters in a movie ever. Like Jules Winfield, what a iconic character. Number 21 is one of the most recent movies on this list. Marriage Story. I adore this movie. This has one of my favorite scripts of all time. It's also got two of my favorite performances ever. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. They are so fucking incredible in this movie. Guys, if you have not seen Marriage Story, it is a very difficult movie because it's about a divorce, but it's also got a lot of heart and humor in it. But I implore you to watch it. It is so effective. I really, really wish this would have done a lot better at the Oscars. I think screenplay it should have won. I think Adam Driver should have won Best Leading Actor. I know Joaquin Phoenix in Joker was good, but I think Adam Driver in this movie is so much better. I love it. I love Marriage Story. I cry every time I watch that movie. All right, number 20, my favorite comedy of all time, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I just fucking love it. I rewatch this movie at least once every 2 years or so, but I quote this movie all the time. Just went from 6 to midnight. Love it. What an awesome cast. And Paul Rudd in that movie, just a standout character. He's so fucking funny in that. And any movie set in Hawaii just makes you feel good. Number 19, The Lion King. It's got to be on there. I am a kid from the 90s. I've seen Lion King almost more than any other movie ever. I used to sit in my diaper about 2 inches away from the TV screen and watch Lion King all the time. Ask my mother. She will tell you. Number 18, we got Goodfellas. One of the best films ever made. This is the movie Martin Scorsese should have won all the Oscars for. The fact that he did not win Best Director for this movie. This movie is so perfectly directed. And the editing in this movie, fucking flawless. This is a flawless movie. It's got an amazing script. And a lot of movies that have narration kind of fuck up the narration. This is one of the best. Goodfellas. I want to rewatch Goodfellas right now. It's so fucking good. Number 17, we got No Country for Old Men. This is a perfect film. I have not a single flaw with this movie. When I first saw it, I was disappointed by the ending. Upon rewatches, this movie is perfect in every single way. Every single filmmaking way. You can talk about the acting, the direction, the editing, cinematography. This is a flawless film. It's perfect. Number 16, my favorite horror movie of all time, and one of my favorite movie characters ever, Nightmare on Elm Street, Fred Krueger. Look at that fucked up face. I adore this movie. It's a movie that a lot of people would watch and be like, it's a little dated, some of the effects and stuff doesn't hold up. Some of the acting, I agree, but no movie has scared me more, or no movie character has scared me more than Freddy Krueger. He follows you into your dreams. What's more scary than that? There's nothing more terrifying than that. That you can't fall asleep because you're going to die. That is a genius concept. Wes Craven, you're a genius. Rest in peace. And the fact that we have not gotten a fucking another Nightmare on Elm Street movie since 2010, that shitty fucking remake from 2010. God damn it, that movie sucks. Pisses me off. The fact that we have not gotten a remake since then, seriously, how can you not? This is so many people, like fucking Halloween, Scream, Child's Play, all these movies franchises are getting reboots. Reboot Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think an awesome choice for Freddy Krueger would be Kevin Bacon. Just try it out. I think he'd be pretty cool. Number 15, we got Robin Hood, the Disney one. Just rewatched this a couple weeks ago when I was, getting over salmonella poisoning. I love this movie. This movie just means so much to me. My mom would take me to the library all the time when I was younger as a kid, and she'd be like, okay, like pick out 2 or 3 movies that you want to watch. And even though I've seen this movie like 20 times, I would still grab it. I love this movie. I love the characters. I love the music. It's so funny. Just love it. Number 14, Mad Max Fury Road. This is a movie I did not appreciate the first time I saw it. Saw it in theaters, and I was like, that movie's fucking weird. That was not at all what I was expecting. Reminded me a lot of the video game Borderlands. Upon rewatches, this is one of the best action films I've ever seen. This might be the best looking action film I've ever seen. I just rewatched this last year, and on 4K, I had the soundbar fucking cranked. Holy shit, is this movie adrenalize you? I was so pumped watching this movie. I could rewatch this any night of the week. Oh, I love Fury Road so much. Thank you, George Miller. You are a fucking master. In at 13, we got Casino Royale and Skyfall. I do prefer Casino Royale just a little bit more than Skyfall, but I love both these movies so much. They both have incredible action, great emotion. You would not expect this much emotion from a James Bond movie. James Bond, you expect, like just spy, gadgets, espionage, and all that. A little bit of camp. These are fucking incredible movies, and I love them. Some of my favorite action movies of all time. In at number 12 is one of the scariest, most fucked up movies I've ever seen, but I was blown away and glued to the screen the entire time. I Saw the Devil. This is a Korean film that came out in 2010. It is about basically like a Secret Service guy, agent. His wife is killed by a serial killer, and the agent tracks down the serial killer, but he doesn't kill him. He'll like injure him. He'll like cut off a finger or just knock him out in some way, and he just keeps like toying with the killer. Like he fucks him up, and then he'll just release him, and he keeps fucking him up. And it is a game of cat and mouse. This movie is so terrifying, so fucked up, but goddamn is it incredible. In at number 11 is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie now, Reservoir Dogs. I adore this movie. Previously, Django Unchained was my favorite Tarantino movie, but upon multiple rewatches, I think Reservoir Dogs might be my favorite now. I just think it's so rewatchable. It's one of Tarantino's shortest movies, so that probably helps. But I love heist movies. I think it's got an awesome cast and such a snappy, witty script as well. I love like the piecing of the story together and trying to figure out who the rat is in that movie. It's just genius and one of the best directorial debuts ever. Possibly the best, that I think. Alright, guys, we're in the top 10 now. Thank God, because I am tired of talking. I'm sorry. Number 10, we got Goodwill Hunting. One of my favorite screenplays for a movie. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon wrote this movie as well as starred in it. I'm so glad they won the Oscar. Same with Robin Williams. Such a sentimental, heartwarming performance by him. He is so good in this movie. I just love this movie. It's got a lot of heart, but it's also really funny. And at number 9, we have the original Star Wars trilogy, my favorite being Empire Strikes Back. But guys, I'm sorry. Sorry, haters. Sorry, you fucking piss ants on the internet. But I am throwing in The Last Jedi because I love The Last Jedi. I do have some faults with it, but I think it is nowhere near as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, especially with fucking Rise of Skywalker came out. Whew, this movie looked like a fucking masterpiece compared to that shit bomb. Anyways, I love Star Wars. I love these characters. And, yeah, fucking, they have to be on the list. And at number 8 is the Godfather Trilogy. I wasn't sure if I should throw part 3 in there, but sometimes I do feel like watching it. Compared to a lot of movies made today, guys, Godfather Part 3 is so much better than a lot of movies you watch today. I just watched Free Guy recently. Fucking hated that movie. God damn, do I hate that movie. That is a film that is everything wrong with Hollywood these days. So, you know what, Godfather Part 3? I'm going to be a little bit more lenient on you. So that's why you're on this list. But Godfather 1 and Part 2, just some of the best movies ever made. I do like the first one the best, and then Part 2, and then obviously Part 3. But I am getting the 4K version of this. I pre-ordered the collector's edition, so I am so excited to rewatch those on 4K. In at number 7 is Heat. You got Robert De Niro and Al Pacino going up against each other, a cop and a robber. Fuck yes, I love heist movies. You guys know that, heist movies. I will watch any heist movie. And this is probably the best one. It's not my favorite one, hint hint, but this is probably the best one. I love it. It's such an epic crime drama where you get really invested in the characters. Michael Mann, he's actually releasing Heat 2. It's a book, not a movie, it's a book. But I think it's like a prequel and a sequel to this movie. Really interested in checking that out. And at number 6 is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, Inception. I think this is his masterpiece. I am blown away every single time I watch this movie. I think this movie is genius. Sure, there's some plot holes or whatever if you want to, pick apart the movie. I'm not going to do that. I think what Christopher Nolan did with this movie it's just insane how you could come up with a script, and just like the concept of this movie, like dreams. That's such an interesting concept, and I think he really, really went to town on it. This movie is also a lot more emotional than people give it credit for. Last time I watched it with my wife, I was like almost in tears. Like just I don't know, like the relationship between some of the characters, especially between Leo and his dead wife. It's kind of sounds weird. I just got a lot more invested in the story last time I watched this, and I still think it's a fucking masterpiece. So, number 5, just one of the sweetest, most rewatchable movies ever. The Princess Bride. Fuck yes, as you wish. I adore The Princess Bride. I could rewatch this movie every day. I think it's got some of the best characters. It's got some of the funniest writing. Rob Reiner, great job on directing this. William Goldman, script. Just one of my favorites. I love this movie. Inconceivable. And at number 4, The Town. This is my favorite heist movie. I love this movie. This is one of my most rewatched movies ever. I went to my parents' house like a couple weeks ago. This was on TV. I sat down and watched the entire thing. I was glued to the screen every time. I've seen this movie so many damn times, and I am still fucking, like gripping the armrest every time. Like, holy shit, what's going to happen? Even though I know what's going to happen. I think Ben Affleck probably gives his best performance in this movie. Same with Jeremy Renner. Blake Lively. Blake Lively is good in this movie, guys. That's honestly shocking because, she's not the best actor. She's fucking incredible in this. The Town. Please watch it if you have not. In at number 3 is Warrior. Guys, if I can recommend you to watch any movie out of these 100 movies, please watch Warrior. Even if you're not a sports fan, I'm not a big sports fan. I am blown away by this movie every time I watch it. This is much more than a sports movie. It is a drama, a family drama. It is so emotional, but it's also got incredible fight scenes, incredible performances. You will get sucked into this movie. I showed a couple of my friends this. They had no idea they'd never even heard of it. And by the time the movie got done, some of them were crying, they were in tears, but they all said they loved it and they recommended it to their family members as well. So please watch Warrior. In at number 2 is the Indiana Jones trilogy. Trilogy, not number 4. I am talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and my personal favorite, Last Crusade. These are movies that I've rewatched quite a few times in the past couple of years, and they have skyrocketed to some of my favorite movies of all time. Obviously, number 2 on my favorite list. I love these movies now. Indiana Jones might be my favorite movie character of all time. There's just so much I love about these movies. There's action and adventure. Some of the best action scenes you'll ever see, like the filmmaking. It's incredible, like what Steven Spielberg and Harrison Ford did with these movies. You got one of the best scores in any movies. It's iconic. Goddamn. And just so much fun. These movies are just a blast to watch. And I could rewatch Indiana Jones trilogy any day of the week. They are fucking fun. But coming in at number 1, if you have seen any of my previous videos, you might have seen this coming. My favorite movies of all time, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I fucking adore these movies. These are perfect films. I think out of any trilogy ever, this is the best. From movie 1 to movie 2 to movie 3. I think these are the most consistent. I think what Peter Jackson did with these movies is incredible. It's insane. And it's honestly inspiring because he had never directed epic movies like this. And he went to the studio and the studio was like, we're going to give you 3 movies. You pretty much have full control. Make your movies. And what he did with these it's honestly insane. He had the perfect cast. You could tell everyone cared about these movies. Ian McKellen as Gandalf, one of my favorite movie characters of all time. All these characters, you just love them. You fall in love with this world. And some of the best battle scenes you will ever see in film history. Holy shit. I love these movies. They also have my favorite score, musical score of all time. There's nothing wrong with these movies. I adore them. I watch them every year. And I might go watch them right now. That's how much I love Lord of the Rings. These are the best movies of all time for me personally. And I don't think they'll ever be topped. But I am excited for the Amazon show coming out. Don't fuck it up. Well, guys, that was a long ass video. My throat is fucking deteriorated from talking so long. Now I gotta go edit this. But I really, really wanted to remake my top 10 favorite movies of all time list. And I just figured, with the lack of videos, with me having, salmonella poison and everything, feeling like shit, I just wanted to give you guys this video. I've wanted to make this for such a long time, so I figured this would be a good time. Really, really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching it. I know it's going to be a long one. But please share down below any of your favorite movies. Let's get some chatter going down there. Please like and share the video as well, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And I just really appreciate you guys for sticking around. And I'm gonna go get some water and edit this video, so you guys take care.